So as our warm-up, when we're about to learn brand new vocab today, we're going to review what we already know. Today we're going to be talking about transversals. A transversal is a line that intersects two or more lines in the same plane. I want to show you that a lot of the angles that we're going to learn about today, you already know how to solve them using theorems from last unit. So let's do this warm-up and show how much you already know about this unit. All right, so I think y is the easiest one. The measure of angle y is, of course, 93 degrees. And why is y 93? The vertical angle theorem tells us so. You guys already told me that angle z is 87 degrees. Why? Linear pair theorem. So the angle they gave us and angle z are supplementary. If two angles form a linear pair, then they are supplementary. Alrighty, let's do the next easiest one. It would be w. The same theorem, that linear pair theorem, allows us to take 180 degrees, subtract 89. We know angle w is 91 degrees. And then x is not an angle. X is just a variable. And we have, nope, we don't have two options. We only have one option. So we're using the linear pair theorem literally 3 times here. To find the measure of angle x, we know that if two angles form a linear pair, then they are supplementary. So we can add those to equal 180. Final answer, x equals 6. So we're going to be naming these angles today, like W and 93, those are going to have a name. We're going to be naming them, and then we'll learn theorems about them on Monday. So you need this vocab sheet right here. We're going to be adding to these, and if you do have markers or colored pencils, it would help to make these colorful and color code things. So a review, the first word on your sheet, a review from Unit 1 or from your other math classes, write down parallel lines. We're going to rely on parallel lines a lot in this unit. When lines are parallel, some cool things are going to happen, and we're going to have some new theorems to add to our little toolbox. So, parallel lines are lines in the same plane, remember, coplanar, that do not intersect. On your vocab sheet, I want you to add a symbol. I want you to add another set of arrows to your parallel lines. We don't assume parallel. That's one of the things we don't assume. Like, we don't assume right angles. We don't assume bisector. So when there's things that we don't assume, and the problem wants you to know that that really is a right angle, we add a square. If the problem wants you to know that that really is a bisector, we add arc marks. When the problem wants you to know that those really are parallel lines, we add another set of arrows. Now, sometimes they look like that, and sometimes they're bolded like this. So I wanted you to see them both ways. So we'll either add this symbol or this symbol to the lines, and that's our communication to you that they are indeed parallel. Next word, I talked about this in the warm-up. So you're writing the next word on the sheet, transversal. Transversal. So your parents say, hey, what did you learn about today? I learned about transversals. I think it's fun to say. So we've got a line. Transversal is a line, not a segment, not an array, a line. It needs to intersect 2 or more lines. It can't just intersect one. It intersects 2 or more lines in the same plane at different points. So let me show you what a non-example looks like. That's a non-example. Neither of those lines are transversals. Let me show you another non-example. I'll make it the green one. Why is that green one not a transversal? So it's intersecting 2 or more lines, check. Ooh, but it's not intersecting them at different points. So the only transversal on the board right now is line T. Look, T is a transversal. Y'all are asking which one, but it said right there. There's no transversal on your page, so you need to draw it in yourself. When we have two lines, you can have more than two. When we have two lines and a transversal, how many angles do we create? How many angles are there? Sorry if you didn't like angles. Angles are here to stay. Good. There are 8 angles. Don't write this down. I'm just showing you the 8 angles. 8 angles are created. And to be able to talk about them and to write theorems about them, we need to call them something. If they don't have a name, then we can't talk about them and can't come up with how they're connected to each other. So we're literally going to spend all day naming these 8 angles, and we're not going to find anything out about them, but we're going to name the 8 angles. Okay. Monday we'll find out how they're related. Okay, so now we need to come up with some names. And I don't want to just tell you the names. I want you to know where they come from. Look at angles 1 and 2. Answer my simple question. Are they on the same side of T or different sides of T? They're on the same side. Very good. They're both on the right, so they're on the same side of T. All right, same 2 angles. Same 2 angles. Are they inside of S and R, or are they outside of S and R? Inside or outside? Good. So the vocab word, the next word that you're going to write on this sheet, the vocab word for angles 1 and 2 are same side interior angles. The vocab word actually says where they are. So go ahead and write that down. Same side interior angles. Try to fit it in that box. Write it in 2 rows if you need to. And then your picture is not labeled at all. So you need to add a number 1 and a number 2 to your picture so that you know what spot they're in on the picture. The 3rd box. So just a reminder, they're on the same side of the transversal. They can both be on the left or both be on the right. And then they're between the 2 lines. So if I were to draw a quadrilateral with the 2 lines, 1 and 2 are inside my quadrilateral, not outside my quadrilateral. Inside, interior. If you're an interior designer, you design the inside of a house. Okay. Next word. Okay, so what changed? The numbers changed. They were 1 and 2, now they're 3 and 4. So they're still interior, right? They're still interior, but they are no longer on the same side of T. We're not going to use the word opposite. We're going to use a different word, and it starts with an A. For the vocab word, I know your sheet describes them as opposite sides. I know. What's a word that starts with an A? There you go, Chisholm. Good. Alternate interior angles is the vocab word. I can't change the word. That's the word that's been chosen, and it's stuck. So those are alternate interior angles. They're on opposite sides of the transversal, but they're still between S and R. One's on the left, one's on the right. All right, moving on. Now this next word is a little weird. It's not alternate, it's not same side, it's not interior, it's a little weird. So let's go over the next word. The next word that we're going to use is this word corresponding. When you Google it, when you look it up in the dictionary, it says having or participating in the same relationship. So 5 and 6, those 2 angles, kind of look at where they are. How are they different from the other ones? 5 and 6 are having or participating in the same relationship compared to the lines. For example, 5 is to the left of T and above S. Left above. 6 is to the left of T and above R. Left and above. Since they're both left and above, they both have the same relationship compared to the lines, so we name them corresponding angles. Corresponding angles. We'll get to that, Nathaniel. We'll get to it. Well, I have an example that has multiple transversals, I promise. So the next word on your list, please write corresponding angles. 5 and 6 are just one example. I could draw 4 different sets of corresponding angles. So these are not the only ones. This is just one example. Make sure you're adding it to your picture. You're not just putting the word, you're adding the numbers to your picture. The next two are going to be quick because all you need to tell me is what the opposite of interior is. What's the opposite of interior? Exterior. Very good. So the next one is same side exterior angles. Write the word, fill in the numbers, and we'll move on. We're almost done. The last word is alternate exterior angles. It's the last combination that's possible. Alternate exterior is as far apart as two angles can get. 9 and 10 had a big argument and they like ran away from each other. They were so mad. They're like, oh, I can't even look at you right now. So they're as far apart as two angles can get in this situation of lines. 9 and 10, they're on alternate sides and they're exterior. They are not between S and R. All that's left to do is practice. Let's practice these new words. All right, what do you want to call them? Type it in the chat. You may abbreviate. So the answer to this one is what? Same side exterior angles. So let me teach you how we're going to abbreviate. We're going to leave the A on each time. The A for angle. So these are same side exterior angles. Looks like the C. Okay? What about these two? Same side, interior angles. There's the appropriate abbreviation for that. What about these two? Alternate interior angles. That's the appropriate abbreviation. AIA. Not artificial intelligence, not AI. AIA. Alternate exterior angles. Let me just let you know, a lot of people, instead of alternate, they write opposite, and that is not the correct vocab word. They're not opposite exterior, they are alternate. That's a specific, wow, that's a specific word. All right. What are these called? What are these? This is the harder one. So at first you go through a dilemma in your head, right? You're like, same side. Those are same side. But then you go look and one's interior and one's exterior. So you're like, wait, they're not interior or, oh, they're corresponding. And there's only 2 letters for that one. Corresponding angles. Good. Good. So when you have that debate in your head, don't forget that weird one, the corresponding angle one. They're both to the right and above. To the right and above. I'm going to skip this one and go straight to this one with the end of our class. So in this picture, it's not pretty, but there are 16 angles. So when we have 16 angles, you're only going to want to use one transversal at a time. So let me show you an example. Angles 1 and 15. Angles 1 and 15. Notice, to create those angles, we don't need line B. Like, we don't need you at all, B. Sorry, but you're gone. You're dead to me. So those are, good job, good job. Those are alternate exterior angles. And it said, name the transversal as well. So which line, A, B, C, or D, is the transversal we're using here? Yep, it's line A. Let's try another one. 2 and 6. So now I'm not using, A is not my transversal. If it helps, sometimes people like to cover this up on their paper. They like to cover up the one you're not using. Good, those are alternate interior angles. And the transversal is line C. Good. We use a lowercase italicized letter to name a line if we're not using 2 capital letters. All right, 5 and 4. What are those? So what we're going to be doing in this unit is interweaving 2 vocab words from last unit in with our new ones. The 2 words that we're keeping from last unit are linear, oops, I did not mean to put an A, are linear pair and vertical angles. You need to still retain that knowledge of that vocab. And 5 and 4 are not any of the things we learned today. You want to know why? You don't need a transversal to create 5 and 4. To create angles 5 and 4, you could erase this line and you could erase this line. Those are not dependent on a transversal. So 5 and 4 are a linear pair, and there is none. You would write none for the transversal. You don't need a transversal for linear pair or for vertical angles. We okay with that? Linear pair is the answer. Linear pair. Let's try, let's keep going. 6 and 11. Same side interior angles. There we go. Same side interior angles. And what is the transversal? B. Very good. All right, I think we've practiced enough. You guys can start on your assignment. Some of you might get done in class and have no homework.